Peace, Black family. So today's video will be in reference to the double standards of child molestation within the Black community. Because oftentimes we only look at men as male within the Black community as molesters, as child pedophiles. And this is not to bash Black women or to put Black women under a microscope, but we must examine the behaviors that have become normalized within our community. I was recently watching a video of Charlie Wilson on The Breakfast Club.
Because, see, we played like grown people. We was 12 years old.
Right.
And so I became first name basis with the teachers. And so, you know, women, you know, so what happened after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm 12. That female teacher is probably about 22.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already living a grown life, sort of like.
Wow,
You knocking off the teachers at that age?
Come on, man.
Well, that's called, I mean, listen, that's called, we know now that's molestation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But back then,
I mean, you didn't know, you didn't know, you didn't know to think there was going to be that, you know, whatever, but.
started for me at 8 years old with a 20-something-year-old woman.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, I was hanging out with grown people, though, you know, anyway.
Now, for those who are not familiar with this type of behavior, it directly comes from the system of racism, white supremacy, the child molestation, the incest that persists within the Black community on all levels of Blackness. Because I don't want to hear anything about, oh, that's ADOS, that's foundational Black Americans, that's Caribbean, that's African culture. It exists in all forms of Blackness. When you go to the Caribbean, you see grown women outside dancing on the little boys. They grinding on them. This behavior has become normalized. It's something that's hush-hush to a degree. But it's something that's become normalized where Black women, and I feel kind of funny even calling these people Black women, but Black women with European minds have taken advantage of young Black boys. Now, of course, we know about what takes place with the males, but we never put a microscope on what started this behavior, right? So we know that it comes from the system of racism, white supremacy. We know that it's something that was adopted during colonialism and during chattel slavery here in the Americas. Because if you go back to any African traditional dialect, there is no word for rape or child molestation, mass incarceration. So as John Henry Clark teaches us, if the word doesn't exist within that culture, which means the behavior doesn't exist. So we know that child molestation and rape and all these things exist in the European context of their language because the behaviors persist, right? So when we go into African culture, we don't see those words. But anyway, getting back to my point, we don't deal with this. And we look at the R. Kellys and we say, wow, how did this person become a monster like that? Not knowing that R. Kelly himself was raped or molested, allegedly molested and raped by his sister at a young age. And you have a lot of celebrities, black male celebrities, who have came out and said they've been molested or taken advantage of. For example, Lil Wayne.
I got raped when I was 11, Twist. I loved it. I ain't never pressed charges. I'm gonna do you like baby them did me. Yeah. I'll never forget that day. Yeah, no, they was all in the kitchen. I was scared. It was cool. There was about this many niggas and shit too in that bitch. I'll never forget the word. Suck Lil Wayne, let dick. I was sitting on the couch. Everybody in that bitch. That nigga was like talking. Girl with your good dick. Girl, you know you suck with your good dick sucking that. Boy, that bitch suck all nigga. Have a nigga. Suck Lil Wayne, let dick. I'm sitting there like, sure, yeah. Suck that. I ain't never had this happen.
And you see this example happening over again with black male entertainers. You had T.I., who said he lost his virginity at 11 years old to an older woman. You have this taking place. And then you look back at some of these entertainers, and these are some of the biggest misogynist, disrespectful, entertainers when it comes to women, because subconsciously women have taken their innocence, and so now they hold that against black women. And obviously I'm not saying this is all black women. Of course, we know that's not true. The same way that all black men are not molesters, but we must look at the culture that was created in slavery and colonization. We shouldn't be looking at carnival going on in the Caribbean and grown women grinding on little boys, or we go to YouTube and see, girls twerking on little boys and little babies. That's not cute. Because when that young boy becomes the next molester of a young black girl, we're going to keep this pattern going on of sexual deviancy. We have to stop that. That is not African, and it's something that we have not addressed. I think a lot of pedophile black women have gotten away with this because it becomes, oh, well, he needs to get introduced to sex because that's what makes him a man, his first sexual encounter. But what about the woman who wants to do that to him? Aren't we looking at her sickness? Shouldn't we look at her sickness? Like, this shouldn't be normalized in the community. It shouldn't be, oh, well, he's just a boy. No, you're stripping a child of their ignorance. Of their innocence. Excuse me if I said that word wrong. Of their innocence. We should not allow that in our community at all. And so when you see stuff like that, call it out for what it is. You a pedophile. And I don't even want to call him a pedophile, but you nasty. That's disgusting. What you're doing is not tolerated. The same way that when black men are outed, or I don't even call them black men, I hesitate to call them black men and black women, but the same way these pedophiles of male characteristics are called out and put on blast, the same way that these women should too. And this goes back into our community, man. And again, I don't want to hear anything about, well, that's Caribbeans, that's continental Africans, that's African Americans, because it's happening all in the African diaspora. There's a scene in the movie Antoine Fisher.
Give me some sugar. Now get on downstairs. What did I say? Get on downstairs. In that basement and drop them.
Where Antoine Fisher is molested by someone who's supposed to be his caretaker. We have to deal with these behaviors. We have to call them out, whether male or female. There should not be any form of double standards when it comes to protecting our children from pedophiles. Until next time, family, think black, stay black, love black, support black. And that's real African black power.